Hello and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I'm pretty good, sir. How are you?
I'm alright. Doing okay. Watched some silly things this week.
Yeah.
It's been a silly week for me. How about you?
I was gonna say something. No, I won't say it because it's not. It's been yeah, I will say it's been an average week.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that, but
I was gonna say average at best for me. But that's
which is fine.
No, it's fine. You win some, you lose some. There's not good movies every week.
Yeah.
It's like that Amazon Prime thing where they're like, well, new releases every day. And you're like, but but define release.
Yeah. Also, define new. Because you have a terrible habit of putting movies up with dates on that are completely fucking wrong.
Oh, I know. They'll have like, Blood on Satan's Claw, and it'll be like 2017. You're like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck? And it's like, I guess that's when you got it. Like, I don't know, it's weird because
it's really confusing as well. Because a couple of times I saw
that a remake.
Like, is that a exactly? That I thought, why would they remake that? Why would they remake that? That's ludicrous. And then you go into it, it's like, no, that's the proper one. What that was made in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly.
Why does it have 2023 on it?
Yeah. So do you want to kick us off?
Sure. I'll start with Lord of Misrule.
Lord of Misrule. I almost watched this one, but I didn't get around to it. So tell me all about it.
So directed by William Brent Bell, starring Tuppence Middleton and Ralph Ineson in the main two roles. So basically, we're introduced to Tuppence Middleton's Rebecca Holland, who is a vicar, who is basically moved to this village. She's been there for a couple of months with her husband and their daughter, and she seems to have settled in, but the daughter seems to have not quite settled in completely. But she's been picked to be the angel of the harvest, basically.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, exactly.
These people never. Okay, what in this universe? We've never watched The Wicker Man.
Exactly. We know where this is going. And there seems to be a little bit of a sort of upset within the family. The husband and wife don't seem to be, completely gelling as they should. There seems to be some sort of thing. They don't really go into why they have that. They mention that they've been there for 6 months and they're not settled, and but they don't really go into why. So basically, this village, they have this ritual every year where they do the Lord of Misrule turns up, and then they basically do singing and dancing, and then they drive out the creature. Oh, now I'm going to not remember what the demon was called. Something like Asmagog or something. Galogog. So they're supposed to, she's supposed to be the running around as these with these harvest sort of angel wings, and then they sing the dance and they chase he who waits in the fields and all that sort of stuff. So you know exactly where this is going. And during the ritual, as it were, the festivities, she goes missing. The daughter goes missing, and then the vicar frantically searches for her, and the police turn up and they're fucking useless. And it's you get the usual beats, I'll say, in this sort of folk horror type stuff. You've got Ralph Ineson being creepy and sort of
brilliant.
Yeah, you got him being creepy and brilliant as this sort of the guy who's got the sort of Lord of Misrule head, which is a really cool mask.
Yeah,
the outfits are very cool, and it's a very cool mask. And you sort of find out things that have happened in the past, and obviously you get the sort of the tee-hee-hees behind the vicar's back and all that sort of stuff. And Tuppence Middleton's great is the vicar. She's doing her best sort of to be the sort of worrying mother who's also, you know, a woman of God and all that, you know, sort of stuff, and you get the sort of the I mean, there's no real surprises. Let's put it that way. You know where it's going. You know you know that basically all the villagers are in on it. You know that this sort of the demon is real. That you know that you know they're the sort of the sacrifice is sort of, you know, a real thing, and there's, you know, the previous kids have disappeared and all that. You know, you're not going to be surprised by this. But it's an enjoyable movie. It's okay. It's hard to sort of, you know, drum up great enthusiasm for it. Other than, you know, the two main performances, which are pretty good. It's just a sort of by the numbers folk horror, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I was just going to say that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's just that because you sort of already know where it's going, and, you know, there are no real surprises.
And it does feel like of all genres of horror right now, folk horror feels very played out lately. Like, there's been so much of it in recent years that it's difficult for them to stand out, I think.
I think the problem is it's sort of testament to the greats that I think it's hard to do folk horror right.
Yes, I agree. You've got like maybe the greatest film of all time in The Wicker Man, and you're like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You're done. I mean, come on.
And it's a very niche sort of horror genre, and trying to make it your own and trying to make something unique, I think, is probably harder than it is to do something like, you know, a zombie movie where you kind of be relatively unique with a few tweaks of a zombie movie. You know, even that now, I think we're still getting surprised by zombie movies, even though we're all kind of tired of it. One will turn up every now and again and go here, and I think it's harder to do with this because you know, there's only so much you can do with the formula that to surprise. You know,
I know.
You can certainly.
It's not impossible. Just like it's not impossible to make a new shark movie or something, but it's just going to be hard. Right?
I mean, all the, you know, some of the villagers are a bit over the sort of top and not terribly great performances, but that's fine. And they're doing what they were. The child actors there's the two main girls that are pretty good for what you see of them. I would have liked to have had a little bit more time with the family first to get a better feeling for them.
Right.
Because I don't think you really got a sort of you didn't really get to know them properly before everything happened, you know?
Yeah.
You get there, you're quickly introduced to them. It's the night of the festival, and it happens, you know. And then you've got these like 4 days in which the daughter is going to be in the Black Barn. So you do have this sort of urgency of we have to do something. You have to get her out of the Black Barn. We have to find the Black Barn and get her out of the Black Barn. But they don't really do enough with that. They don't sort of.
Yeah, you kind of need to know the family dynamic, and you need to understand their backstories a little. There's one thing The Wicker Man did tremendously well. Is
very quick and quite quickly too. But
yeah, but it does it throughout the story as well. You realize his religion and his sexual repression and all of those things that come into play in the movie is explained very well through the narrative. And you can, like you said, you can do it. It's just you need to understand what's going on with the family and care for the family before throwing them into a situation.
Yeah, and I don't think they really did a very good job of conveying that. It's, you know, other than she's a mother trying to find her daughter.
Sure.
it's like, yeah, sure, we all get that.
That works, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we all get that. That's fine. That's fine. But I would have liked a little bit more. It would have been nice to have, known her a bit more for when things happen later to be a bit more interesting and have a bit more of a punch when certain. I'm not going to spoil it, but when certain things happen, it would have had more of an impact if we'd have got to know her a bit better. Again, Ralph Ineson's kind of, just walking through it, really being just creepy and cool. So it's not terrible, but it's not brilliant either. It's not going to sort of, it's not really going to wow you. Yeah, but I think there's enjoyment to be had, and if you like folk horror, then I think this does it, relatively well.
I'm still going to watch it for sure.
It gets the atmosphere right for the most part. There's a lot of that sort of, creepy music that sort of keeps you, rumbling underneath. That, there's sort of a nice couple of scenes where the vicar is sort of, you're sort of focusing on her while things are going around her. Sure. And the music is sort of ramping up, and it's like, yeah, you get that sort of tension within her, and where she, you do feel her despair at what's going on around her, and so that is kind of well done. That one thing I don't know why it bothered me, not to do with the movie really, it's to do with people's reviews of it.
Okay.
And it's a lot of people saying about her being a Catholic priest and stuff, and Catholics and all this sort of. It's like, she's a vicar. Catholics don't have female priests. She's an Anglican vicar, and I have no idea why it bothered me, but it really did.
Well, it's wrong, I guess.
But it's not even like a logical thing. It's just, and I'm not even a Christian. But for some reason, the distinction really bothered me, and there you go. It's just one of those things. She's an Anglican vicar, otherwise she wouldn't be, one, a female priest, as it were, and two, married with a kid.
Yes.
Catholics don't really like that very much.
Not generally.
So weird. It's a weird little hang-up I had about reading some of the reviews, for sure. Yeah, I think if you like folk horror, I think you'll enjoy it. As a horror overall, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's a pretty, by the numbers horror movie with two, pretty good central performances, and there's some pretty, there's some quite pretty sort of English countryside shots, and for them, it's just a very, very average horror movie.
Yeah, well, like you said, that's not necessarily a terrible thing, and I'm often finding myself in the mood for a folk horror, so I'll put it on the list and check it out for sure. I've had a weird week this week in terms of what I've watched. I started watching fucking My Swimming Pool's an Asshole, or whatever that fucking film's called. Night Swim. I started watching that. I will probably review it next time. I kind of like started it and I was like, this is just fucking don't go near the swimming pool. Problem solved. But whatever. I'll get to it. So
I've seen the trailers for that and I thought, okay.
Yeah, fine. I mean, it's like just don't go near it.
The funny thing I found was I caught some of the, I think it was like the director talking about it, or maybe the producer, and the way they sort of were talking about it was like, hey, no one's done a haunted swimming pool.
No, there's before. A reason for that.
Why don't we do that? And it's like,
because the answer is easy. The answer is fucking concrete. Problem solved. But anyway, I will probably finish that and get back to that next week. So instead, I watched this. Tell you a story, Matt, about a retired school teacher.
Okay.
Living by herself and running various charities and whatnot. She cares very much for these charities that she's running, and unfortunately, she gets scammed out of all of her money. Unfortunately for the scammers, she has a beekeeper. who is also a beekeeper, played by Jason Statham, who murders the absolute shit out of all of the scammers. Beekeeper, starring Jason Statham, directed by David Ayer. Yes, so we made fun of this trailer when it came out earlier this year, right?
Oh, and I still want to watch it.
God, everything I said in the trailer, my trailer reaction was 100% right.
Yep.
100% right. This film is, I think, is giving me brain damage. Like, I'm sure, like, it's not, you know when you watch Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
You know, like, the later Fast, not the earlier ones, the more recent Fast and Furious movies. You're watching them and the movie's winking at you like it knows it's being silly. Yeah. Like, don't get that vibe from this. Like, it takes itself way too seriously.
Oh, no.
No, but the thing is, it doesn't matter. Like, it's so stupid. I had so much fun watching this. It's one of the dumbest films I've seen in a long time. But
are you now worried it's made you dumber?
Yeah, maybe it might have made me dumber, which is quite a feat. So this Eloise Parker, old retired school teacher living in Massachusetts, and she's got this barn that she's rented out to Adam Clay, who is the beekeeper. He makes honey, and basically one day, Eloise gets this call from a scam, and wow, this company, this scam company, are, well, it's quite clear that whoever wrote this or whoever was directing it and putting it together had no idea how scam call centers should look or are. So they just went with, well, they're hackers, so I guess everything should be neon and they should have massive screens with loads of graphics on it, and it's all backlit in pink, and like, it's like it's like a gamer's bedroom, but like full of offices, and they've got someone on a loudspeaker. He's got like a microphone. Right. And he's like talking to his crew about how they're gonna fuck this woman over, and he's like, oh, give me free cheers for this, and oh yeah, and like, all of the scammers are all sat at their desks, and like he gets on the microphone. He's got like this microphone, and he's walking out like a wrestler, talking about how he's gonna.
So I was gonna say, so it's like Wolf of Wall Street. Then,
yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah, right.
And they scam this woman, and she loses all of her money and all the money for the charity, so she blows her brains out. And then Jason Statham comes round to deliver the honey because he's a beekeeper. He's going to give honey to her. And he realizes that the car's there, but she doesn't answer the door. So he breaks in and he finds her dead. She's killed herself.
Not a euphemism then.
No.
She's literally bringing honey.
Yeah. No, he was literally bringing her honey. Her daughter then turns up and thinks Jason Statham murdered her. She's an FBI agent.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Of course.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Right. Hang on. I've got a bell there. Right.
Okay.
Sorry. So she got scammed, and instead of going to her daughter, who's an FBI agent,
she blew her brains out.
Okay. Fine. Sure. Why not?
You just need a better system. My mum, like, anything comes up on the screen, and my mum's like, Rich, what does this mean? I'm like, just don't press it.
Yeah, my mum.
Problem solved.
Exactly the same. That's the good thing about my mum. She's completely tech useless.
Now they do say in this that she's like, oh, I've tried to be there for my mum as much as I can, but I've been really busy. I'm an FBI agent and stuff.
Yeah.
But even so, yeah, it's so she gets scammed and immediately blows her brains out. She's like, I'm out of here. Jeez. I'm not even going to try and fix this problem.
My wife got scammed. Like,
yeah, it's horrible.
Not exactly accidentally, but she was at work. She was really stupidly busy. She got sent this message about her phone, and she answered it and didn't even like think about it properly.
Yeah.
And then like 5 minutes later, she was like, "Fuck! I've just answered a fucking thing, haven't I?" So she immediately like phoned her phone company, went, I think I've just been scammed. Please turn everything off. Shut everything down. And she caught them, thankfully. She got you know, but it was only because she was so busy and, you know, that she just absent-mindedly answered it without thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, you know, the mix-up is quickly resolved, and Jason Statham is cleared. He's just he genuinely is a beekeeper, and he genuinely was bringing honey around when he found it dead. So, you know, the FBI agent apologizes to him. She's like, I'm sorry about last night. I was a bit upset because my mum, you know, shot herself in the head. And Jason Statham's like, you know, that's perfectly understandable. And they have this conversation. And Jason Statham says, you know, stealing from old ladies is just as bad as stealing from kids. And it's worse in some ways because kids have got their parents to help them, whereas here, the old people have got no one to help them.
I mean, not just stealing from people is bad.
No
matter what they are. I mean, sure.
It's worse when it's millionaire old ladies.
Right.
So anyway, everyone hates scammers, right? I hate scammers. No one wants that. No one wants to be scammed, and no one wants to see people get scammed.
They're utter scum. Of course.
They are utter scum. I'm not sure they deserve to be beaten to fucking death and have their limbs chopped off and cars driven into the ocean, tying them along and, you know, setting fire to them, throwing them down lift shafts. I'm just saying. I mean, I think they should probably go to jail, right? Yeah. Get sued. I'm not sure that Jason Statham turning up, torching their entire business and killing 4 people is a measured response to the situation, right?
A message has to be sent, my friend.
A message.
A line has to be drawn.
You have no fucking idea how far this conspiracy goes, Matt. You have no idea how high this goes.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. I want to spoil it, but I won't. It goes high.
I mean,
it goes high.
There's plenty of evidence that a lot of the scammers are funding terrorism.
Well,
so
it goes
I mean,
high.
there is that.
It goes high. I'll tell you that. It goes very high. And so anyway, this call center in America as well, which surprised me because I was like, well, he's gonna have to go to India or something to get this because anytime I've had it, like. Yeah. But no, apparently this one is in the US and they're very organized and they've got multiple locations. And Jason Statham is a beekeeper, but he's also a beekeeper, right? So
he keeps saying that.
He keeps well, the movie keeps saying it. So he keeps bees, but also the beekeepers are this really badly put together, terrible idea of a secret organization, right? And at some point, they say. Jeremy Irons says at some point...
They're the Kingsmen, but dumber, is what you're saying.
Well, they're the Kingsmen. They're kind of like the Kingsmen meet the IMF, right?
Right.
Where like, they do these things, but, like, no one really controls them. So once they've made their mind up about something, they just go and fucking do it. And they're, like, amazing. There's a scene where Jeremy Irons is talking to, like, ex-SEAL team members, and he's like, you guys are just pussies. You're not like this. If this beekeeper was in here, he'd kill all of you. And once he set his mind on something, he won't stop. He's like the Terminator. and you know, they say something about there's this thing in the bee kingdom because they keep talking about the bees.
Of course they do.
Called the Queen Slayer or something. Which is when apparently when a queen produces lesser bees,
right?
A certain bee may decide to kill the queen because she's seen as defective. That's something that happens in Bee King. This is what I've learned from this movie. It could be complete nonsense. I don't know. So the FBI agent likens him to that, where he's gonna root out this problem and solve it, no matter where it leads. And oh my God, it leads some places. Let me tell you.
Are you telling me that our queen didn't die of natural causes?
No, it's not. It's not our queen.
Jason Statham killed our queen.
No, it's not our queen. He is British in it, but no, I think only because he's incapable of an American accent. So
I was going to say, at least he's not trying to do the American accent.
That would have made this film even funnier. So anyway, this movie, it honestly, it feels like it's taking itself far too seriously, in a weird way, because it's so ridiculous, but they play it so straight. Like, Jason Statham has these real moments where he looks really ponderous and like he's really serious and upset. but it's so ludicrous, and the response to these scammers is so ridiculously over the top. And to justify it, it's kind of like, it's not like, you can't really, like, yes, they're scum, obviously, but I don't think that you can justify this mass slaughter of these people. They just, they need to go to court, right? And the FBI are working on that. But of course she's like, well, I kind of agree with him. She's like, well, we need to take him down, but, not really, because he's kind of doing a good thing,
So it's basically Death Wish.
Yeah, it is, but not like Death Wish. It's like Death Wish 3 or 4. Where he's like gunning people down for no, like, littering. Like, oh, you threw litter on the floor. Uzi. Is that kind of response to scammers in this movie. Yeah, the thing is, though, I sound like I'm being negative because this movie is so dumb. But I had so much fun. Like, I laughed a lot, and it was very silly. And
I was going to say, are you supposed to be laughing, though?
I don't think I am. That's the thing, right? Like, when I'm watching the new Fast and Furious movies, I'm like, you're being silly.
Yeah.
And I'm in on the joke, and we're all in on the joke, and it's fine. And it kind of feels like here, that's not... I mean, maybe it is. Maybe when you see it, because I know you're going to see it. There's no way you're not seeing this. When you see it, you might think, oh, actually, no, I think they were joking the whole time, and you just didn't pick up on it. But to me, it felt like they were trying to make this like a serious thing. But it is so ridiculous. Now, the fight scenes are great.
Things like the Kingsman do a very good job.
Kingsman's perfect for that. They get that humor and seriousness tone perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Not so much here, I don't think. But despite all of that, I had a great time. I definitely, if you want to watch some really dumb action, well choreographed fight scenes, but just really dumb plot, and yeah, I recommend it in spite of everything. I
just saw on the cast list, Gemma Redgrave's playing the president.
Oh, fucking hell, Matt! I told you it went high. I was going to leave it at that. Yes, the scammers got the president in fucking power.
But I just found it weird.
I know.
Gemma Redgrave was playing the president.
I was going to try and not mention that, but yeah. So yeah.
I'm sorry.
They
ruined it.
No, it's fine. She used to work for scammers or something, and she was funded by scammers. So the president of the United States, that's how high it goes. So then Jason Statham's like, I'm the queen killer. I must kill the president of the United States because she's related in some way to this scam company that scammed my friend.
I was just intrigued to see who the actual lady was. It's Felicia Rashid, who's awesome.
Yes. No.
So she's like in it for 5 minutes.
The cast is great.
So Mrs. Huxtable's in it for 5 minutes.
Yeah, the cast is fine. It's the script and the tone. Like, I just feel like it should just be one big joke, but it feels like it's really trying to take itself seriously in places, and I can't quite, reconcile the two. But I did have a great time. I had a lot of fun watching this.
I mean, this kind of made me want to watch it more.
Yeah. No, it's one of those really good bad movies. Like it's bad, but it is really fun. I had a great time. So I recommend Beekeeper, in spite of everything I've just said.
Okay.
It's well worth it. Even though I've just spoiled it. Well, I mean, I've not really spoiled it. You're not watching it for the story. Let's be honest.
Yeah. No.
And the fight scenes are great. There's some good action in it. I'll give them that.
Okay.
It just feels very unwarranted in places. I'm like, well, yeah, he literally turns up the next day with with gasoline, just beats up everyone and torches the entire, blows up the whole building. Like, that's my measured response to you scamming this person. Anyway, well, so I recommend it. That's all I've got to say. See, this film has really messed me up.
But
Like I'm like all over the place now. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Anyway, what else have you watched, Matt? Change the subject.
Okay. So I watched The Marsh King's Daughter.
Yes. Now this is another film I started this before Christmas and then didn't finish. This I thought looked pretty good from what I saw at the beginning. I watched about 20 minutes and I meant to get back to it, just hadn't. So.
Yeah, so basically it's directed by Neil Berger.
Yeah.
Stars Daisy Ridley, Ben Mendelsohn, uh, Brooklyn Prince, and Garrett Hedlund.
It's a great cast.
Basically, sorry.
I said it's a great cast.
Yeah, it is. It's a really good cast. So you're introduced to not Marigold, Helena, who seems to have a sort of an interesting upbringing. Her and her parents live in this cabin, and her dad takes her hunting, and there seems to be a bit of a weird thing between her mum and dad, but her mum sort of, you got to come stay here and do your chores, and she's like, no, I'm going to go off and hunt with my dad, and her dad's showing, teaching her how to track animals and read the wind and all that sort of stuff, and he's taking her out for her first hunt, and she misses. And he's like, why did you miss? And he's like, well, I didn't make any noise. I didn't do anything. She's like, well, what else could it have been then? It's like, oh, she must have smelt me. And then they go home, and he tattoos this tree on her arm, sort of symbolizing that she missed her first hunt. And she has these like dots on her face, tattooed, and she's got a number of other tattoos. And then you subsequently find that this guy turns up, and it's clear that the daughter is, she's never really seen other people very much. She has no experience. This guy turns up on his quad bike, says, "Oh, I'm lost. I'm sorry if I'm, intruding on your place, but I'm lost. I've got turned around." And then all of a sudden, the mother runs out, and she's like, "Quick, before he comes back, you've got to get us out of here. He's an awful person. He kidnapped me." And of course, the daughter has absolutely no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
she's completely nonplussed to her mother's reaction, and the poor guy gets shot and killed, but they escape, and you then find that she, like as she said, this guy who was, I'm not sure whether it doesn't call him, whether he calls himself the Marsh King or whether they call him the Marsh King. He basically kidnapped her mother and kept her prisoner in this cabin, and they've been there for 12 years. So the daughter had no real idea of this, and there's a really cool scene where the daughter's they're in the police station. And Gil Birmingham, I love Gil Birmingham. He's the sort of sheriff of this town. He's talking to her, and she says, "I know you find this soon." But she basically, because she tried to sort of like get away from her mother when her mother's trying to grab her and go off on this quad, her mother knocks her out. So she wakes up in this police station, and there's this wonderful shot of the girl waking up and seeing like a computer save screen sort of going away, and there's a coffee pot dripping in the corner, and there's lights are flickering, and there's this amazing sort of idea that, oh my god, she's never seen any of this shit. She has no idea about electric lighting or what the fuck a computer is or a coffee fucking machine, or and she sort of escapes. She gets out of the thing, and she runs around this sort of town, and there's like people everywhere, and she's like, fuck, you can see her distress, and she nearly gets run over, and they do a beautiful job of showing this, a girl that's grown up in the fucking swamp with marsh, grown up in the marsh with no other human contact other than her mum and her dad. And then it moves on then to Helena being played by Daisy Ridley, who is living in this sort of almost ideal home. She has a daughter of herself, Marigold, and she's married to Stephen Garrett Hedlund, and they seem to, they have this sort of almost idyllic seeming marriage at first. He's like, she picks up her daughter, and they go home, and he says, "Oh, the husband says, oh, there's this thing at work, after work sort of thing, I want you to come. And she's like, I don't, not very good at those sorts of things. He's like, well, I want to show my wife off, come on. And she's like, and you can see how uncomfortable she is around people, and there's she's got these tattoos, and you see her when you first see her at the grown up one, she's in like an office job and she's typing, and you can see that some of she's sort of sweating, and she rubs the makeup. And so she immediately goes to the bathroom and starts reapplying the makeup to her tattoos, to hide her tattoos. And you get this, and of course the inevitable happen. Jacob, her father, the Marsh King, he escapes from prison, and basically she realizes that he's going to come for her. He's going to come and get her, and he's going to want her and her daughter, and he's going to do the same thing again. He's going to take them off, and they'll never see civilization again. And of course, she doesn't want that. But there's this interesting dynamic in that she loves her father. He taught her everything she knows about how to live and how to, for the first 12 years of her life, she loved her life. She didn't think anything was wrong in what had happened. When she obviously, she time had moved on, and she's accepted what had happened, and that her dad was evil, but she still loves him. She still has this thing, and there is some really nice sort of moments where she has this dilemma, and she's forgotten things that a child's vision of what the relationship with her mum and dad was colored by the fact that she didn't really see what was going on.
Yeah.
So there's a nice sort of moment where you see this, when as a girl, she's running around the forest, and she hears like her mum scream, and when she gets to where they are, it just looks like she's fallen in the water and her dad's helping her up.
Sure.
And of course, later on, when she reassesses that scene, she realizes that her dad was punishing her mother for something that she'd done. It wasn't oh, I'm just helping her up. It was no, I was
drowning her. Yeah,
I was drowning her. He was punishing her. And again, it is not a brilliant movie, but what it is a very sort of, and I think people will find it drags, but I didn't. I thought it's slower paced. By all means, it's a very slower paced movie. But I think that the two main performances of Ben Mendelsohn and Daisy Ridley are really good, actually. And Brooklyn Prince as the younger Helena, she's remarkably good as the young girl. I really enjoyed it, actually, and it's because it's a very quiet movie. There's sure they've got sort of, I don't want to say action scenes, because it's not really action scenes, but there are sort of fights, and there are sort of moments of sort of tension, but they're not it's not an action movie by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a very cool drama of a damaged woman kind of coming to terms with her life and her thing, and of course she hasn't told her husband who she was. Her family has no idea who she is. When in a sort of awful moment for her, she comes home after Jacob's escaped, and her house is just full of FBI agents. And of course her husband turns up and it's like, what the fuck? Why are all these people in my house? What's going on? And of course, the FBI is like, who tells him who she is, and he's like, but you told me your parents were like accountants and stuff, and it's like, yeah, I lied. And there's a really lovely moment where obviously the husband, pissed off, he leaves, not like permanently, but he's like, I'm taking the daughter, I'm going to go away for a minute, I'm going to go and stay in a hotel for a thing. And there's this, he comes back at one point and he says to her, why didn't you tell me the truth? What why? And she's like, these tattoos I have, I got them for a reason. This deer on my neck is from my first kill. This is a kill that I didn't make. This here on, and she's showing him his tattoos. And it's like, if I'd have said to you, oh, I'm the Marsh King's daughter, I learned to hunt, and my father kidnapped my mother, how would you have felt about that? You would have never gone out on a date with me. Yeah. And then there's a subsequent scene where she explains the tattoos, and she says, want to go on a date with me, sort of thing. And it's a lovely little moment, and I think those little moments are actually very well done.
Yeah.
Again, it's a very average movie, but it's an average movie with some very nicely done scenes and some nice acting moments. Yeah. I mean, Ben Mendelsohn's not fucking stretching himself. He's
fantastic.
He's creepy dad guy.
Yeah.
It's what you've seen him do before, but he does it well, and he's not coasting or anything. It's just a by the numbers performance for him. It's again, not terrible, not great, just a very well done performance. And I think that's what I like about this movie. Actually, it's just a very enjoyable, I would say, a good movie. It's a just above average, I would say. Actually, it's just a slightly above average movie that with some beautifully shot pieces. There's some, unlike I would say with the horror movie I watched, you get to know her character quite well. You get to see, and you feel her sort of, the dilemma of her character in the fact that she's grown up, she's in this world, but she really doesn't feel like she belongs here. She probably would be better off in the woods. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where she grew up. There's a bit where she says to her husband, sometimes I just walk off. You don't know because you're asleep. And sometimes I just walk away and go and sit in the forest or something. So you can see it, and I think it's very well conveyed. I would like to have seen a bit more of the sort of
history.
The history stuff, but what you get of it, I think, is done quite well. So I actually would recommend this one. I'd recommend this. It's not going to blow you away or anything, but it's a solid movie with solid performances, and I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Yeah, it's one I started and I kept meaning to get back to and just haven't yet. So I will definitely check it out. So we both saw the new Netflix movie Badland Hunters, South Korean dystopian action movie, which is apparently a sequel to a film I didn't know existed called Concrete Utopia, which sounds like quite a different movie.
I didn't know that at all.
Nor did I. And it's one of the things I was going to say. I think this film does very well as a sequel, is that I can watch this film on its own. I don't need to have watched the first film.
No.
I get the impression this film's more of a I gather the first film just centers around the tower block and the society that builds within that tower block.
Yeah.
And this is kind of obviously has that tower block in it towards the end. I don't know what you thought of this one. I had a lot of fun with this. It's an odd movie, to say the least.
Yeah.
I loved the opening.
Yeah. How much was like a computer game, though?
I know. It felt like a computer game cutscene.
Sort of cruel. Did a really good job of kind of explaining what's happened. I mean, other than you do get the initial mad prof.
That's what I liked, that bit, when he was like, we're going to arrest you for being a mad professor, and then the whole world collapses in on itself at the same time, and they're like, oh, okay.
And then you get the computer game intro, which was like, wow, I love this intro, this is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, the initial scene with the
mad professor
is, it's full on
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
and then
Frankenstein sort of, I must save my daughter by murdering lots of children.
And then the village people turn up to stop Frankenstein,
Yes.
and then the whole city collapses around them. I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's been this cataclysm, this apocalyptic event, at least in South Korea. I'm guessing the world?
It doesn't really explain that, does it?
No.
It seems...
My assumption is that this was global, but...
Yes. And that's kind of what I thought, because I was thinking, well, if it was just sort of Korea, then surely people would
have some aid.
aid.
Yeah. I'm wondering whether the first movie would explain what actually happened.
That might.
Because that may be the case.
Be
I am
true.
going to watch the first one because I enjoyed this enough that I'm curious about the first one.
Yeah.
So we're introduced to our key characters who are basically surviving in the post-apocalyptic desert, a small community kind of trying to make it by out there. And we have Choi Jan-wan, who is this kind of kid. He's like an up-and-coming hunter. He's trying to find some meat. Decides to start on a crocodile at the start.
Yeah.
And that crocodile is tough. Although that does come into play later. They kind of explain the reptile thing.
Yeah. Because I think that's one of in the very opening, you get the sort of like
reptile DNA.
It literally starts with the doctor like standing over a corpse with a bloody not magnifying glass. For fuck's sake, microscope. And some sort of like a load of lizards.
Yeah.
With weird markings on them running around.
Yeah.
So you literally starts with that.
So he's saved. When this crocodile, he shoots a crocodile in the head, it doesn't kill it. It just annoys the crocodile, apparently. So, or alligator, I look like a crocodile.
I forget. I know that the difference is to do with the snout. Isn't it? I think it's a crocodile.
I thought it was, but I could be wrong. Anyway, he is saved by Nam San, who is my favorite character in this movie.
Honestly, that's why I watched this movie, because of him.
Train to Busan, and yeah.
Ma Dong-seok is just what I think of him
so watchable.
I think of him as Korean Sammo.
Yeah,
it's like Korean Sammo Hung.
100%.
It's like a really big dude who can move,
and also do comedy.
Yes.
And also he's believable. I believe he can kick everyone's ass, like 100%.
I mean, he's my favorite character in Train to Busan.
Yeah, same. So this little isolated community, they're out there in the wastelands, getting by. They sell meat, and they sell meat to swap. They barter, basically. So if you get meat from them, you can in return you can give them some shoes or something. Like different things.
I like the person giving them the knitted hat, and the guy's the big dude's like, "What the hell do I want that for?" And the kid's like, "It's a really cool hat. I want it.
Yeah,
I like that hat." And he puts it on. Gives him some meat.
So, we're introduced to Suna and her nan, and obviously Choi fancies Suna and is trying desperately to impress her, and she's like completely nonplussed pretty much the entire opening of the movie. But we have these kind of raiders turn up, and you hear these sirens, police sirens, and this police vehicle turns up, and they're basically there to say, hey, we're coming to rob you, and you do what we say and you'll live. But then one of them sees Suna and it's like, oh my god, a teenage girl, like, you're really rare out here, and that kind of sets the stage.
They do take off try and take off some dudes as well.
They do. They take off some young people to kidnap.
Yeah.
And of course Nam-san takes them all out, and they scurry away. And later, I guess the same day, we see this school teacher and her friends. They're these business people in the desert. They've turned up, and they say they're talking to Suna, and they say, hey, we've got this complex, this building protected by the army, and we're trying to rebuild society and it's really rare that there are young kids anywhere anymore. So we're looking to take those kids. You are the next generation. We want to take you away to this safe haven where you will be educated and you'll become the future of the human race. I immediately thought this sounded like the dodgiest trap I had ever heard in my life. I was like,
no,
this is going to be some
so.
like weird breeding place, or it's going to be some slave labor, or it's going to be, I'm like, the list is endless, but none of them are good outcomes. I'm like, no good will come of you going on this trip.
I also thought, you know what? You seem to be surviving quite well out here. You've got a nice little house.
Yeah,
with your nan. She's me when you want. You know, I think you're all right.
She's got issues, right? But like, you are doing okay, and it just feels like I was like immediately like, this is the worst idea.
I think that this is a theme in Korea, because I think they've had a lot of problems with weird cults.
Okay, right.
So I think that's kind of why
this is a weird cult. I'll tell you that. This is a weird cult.
Weird cult seems to be a thing in Korea.
Yeah. But anyway, she's convinced to go, mainly because her nan's, I guess, terminally ill or very ill. And they say, hey, we've got medical facilities. We can help her. And so she leaves with her nan, and they walk through the desert with this group. They say that they've got medical facilities halfway, so they can treat her nan there and whatnot.
Yeah. The bullshit that runs off these people.
I know.
Like, yeah, no, really, you're going to believe that, are you? Okay,
she does begin to suspect, but I'm surprised it takes her until they're almost at the place before she realizes maybe this was a trap. You know, maybe taking all the young people from all of the surrounding villages might be for nefarious purposes. Now, I will give the movie this. It was not what I thought they were kidnapping them for. Not in my wildest dreams did I imagine they were making reptile people. That came as a surprise to me.
I didn't know whether you were going to mention that.
How could I not mention that? I mean, Jesus. This film is at once so entertaining and also so cracktastic. It's amazing. Think Resident Evil in South Korea, I guess. Kind of like Resident Evil style weird science.
Yeah. And it does do that thing which I think Hong Kong movies and Japanese movies do sometimes, is that you get the sort of, you know, it's mostly sort of an action horror movie.
Yeah.
Then you've got the weird, really broad comedic strokes.
I was gonna say,
which sort of works because it's that sort of movie, but sometimes you do sort of feel, oh, okay, that's a bit fucking bored for this movie, isn't it?
Yeah, I did think that some of the humor was misplaced, but overall, while I was watching it, I was like, there were bits, like when Nam Sam is going up the stairs and he's talking about his leg, and then he's like, oh, my knees, and then because he's constantly complaining through the movie, and I love that. And then he grabs the assault rifle and he uses it as a walking stick to get up the stairs. Like bits like that are just hilarious. And the bit when he couldn't grab his machete on his back, he makes this like dramatic entrance, and then he's like, oh god, where is it? It's back there somewhere. Stuff like that. I was like, this is funny, and when it needs to be serious, it's serious. It does Marvel way better than Marvel's trying, you know, with their humor, their over humor. I think the humor works way better in something like this, where I'm like, yeah, that was funny. Doesn't always land, but when it does, it was good. And I think
there was a couple of times where I definitely groaned.
Yes, I did as well. Yeah.
But overall, it was fine. It was okay. I mean, I think, like I said, you know, those sort of Far East movies do have a tendency to have quite broad humor in their action movies. I mean, Jackie, look at almost any of the Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jackie Chan movies, it's sometimes you have like a really serious moment, and then Jackie will fall over or have a pot hit him or something. So you know, it's kind of like a tradition in Far East movies, but sometimes it works a lot better than others, and this one was very hit and miss. I think
it was hit and miss. So obviously she's kidnapped for mad science.
Yep.
And it's up to Choi and Nam Sam to rescue her. Basically, they happen across grandmother and I was like, well, that was convenient that you just happened across her.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was inferred that they went after them, but because I was like, you just kind of turn up and you just happen to be there. It was a bit weird, but
yeah, I think he sort of says he's going out for a walk, but I think they decide to just follow them, don't they?
Yeah, I like Namsam says later to the Marine woman. He's like, God, that kid will not shut up about her unless I go get her. So it's like basically we're rescuing her to shut him up because he won't stop talking about her.
There is that the running gag of the kid saying, "Hey, you can adopt me and marry that woman, the weird woman.
She's great." Yeah,
which again is so fucking over the top. It's weird ludicrous. Comedy moments, but sort of work.
It's a really bizarre movie that's somehow really compelling despite being really weird and quite funny, and I will say the action scenes are great.
The action scenes are very good.
The fight scenes are fantastic. And the practical effects are awesome. There's some really nice practical effects.
There are moments with CG that
don't work so well. Yeah.
Not some of the lizard.
But the practical stuff is great.
Yeah.
When they're throwing like practical torsos and bits around, looks fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, those are really cool.
And I liked the V, like, I couldn't help but think of V towards the end. I mean, when he's ripping the bits of his face off and stuff, I was like, oh my God, it's straight out of 1980s V.
Yeah, there is literally a moment where the captain of the guard takes out a mouse and eats it.
And they're even wearing the uniforms and everything. They're wearing black uniforms. They practically look like V now. It's amazing. And then you get obligatory zombie bit, but it's not zombies, it's like lizards.
Yeah.
Failed experiments in the basement.
Yeah, they're blatantly zombie lizard men, but
like I said, it's all very Resident Evil. It's like a post-apocalyptic movie meets mad science Resident Evil.
And the thing where you find out the mad scientist is suitably over the top.
Oh God, yeah.
Scientist guy.
And
the scene where you see the second time you see his daughter.
Yes.
Was like, oh, that's really cool and really dark.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's an awesome effect, and also now that I think about it, that's really gross. And
yes.
Yeah.
I think I would say overall, I really enjoyed it, but it is a very average movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a good film, but again, much like Beekeeper, I had a blast.
Yeah,
you know, like,
and it's to do with the performances. The main cast are all really good.
They're all really likable as well. Like I wanted to see them succeed. I wanted to see their story. Nam Sam is like so much
was a
fun.
Bit sort of not out of place, but was a bit sort of. She turns up, she does some stuff. Was the soldier girl?
Yeah, she felt kind of tacked on. Now being a sequel, now that I know it's a sequel, which I didn't know when I watched it, I'm wondering if she is in the first one. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
And that I may have more attachment to her because she does kind of just appear in this movie. And you're like, okay,
yeah.
You do see her backstory, but it feels kind of like she's just kind of inserted halfway through.
It kind of feels tacked on. It doesn't.
Yes,
feel
I agree.
Like it's part of the overall thing, really.
No. It was like, oh, we're working out, who fights who, and we've got one too many on the bad guys team, so we'll just chuck in another one. You know. But despite how weird and bizarre and silly and whatever this movie was, I had a really good time. I enjoyed the fight scenes. I thought the practical effects when they were there were great. Like you said, some ropey CG, but the practical stuff is great. I kind of like it's a weird thing, but they do. For me, it usually managed to pull off the weird humor. Not always, like you said, there were some groans, but it does do that zany humor quite well, I thought.
Yeah, the zany humor was a bit hit and miss for me, but other than that...
But you can't take this too seriously, and again, compared to Beekeeper, I was glad this movie was firmly like, yeah, I know we're silly. We're being silly in places, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had fun. Like you said, it's not a great movie. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a great movie, but it is an enjoyable one.
Yeah. And again, as we said, that is fine.
Yeah, and I kind of I would recommend it for
Me too.
You know, if you want
if you want a weird fun
action
time,
horror comedy,
yeah,
then
you can do worse.
Certainly do. Yeah, you can certainly do worse than this. And yeah, like I said, it's got great central performances, so it's just a fun watch.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, absolutely recommend it, despite it being kind of okay. Just a lot of fun to watch, and that's fine. Sometimes that's all you need is just some distraction and some laughs, and I absolutely got that from both of the films I watched this week. So, as much as I complained about Beekeeper, I had a blast watching it. Probably not for the reasons they expected me to, but I did have a lot of fun. And the same here, much more intentional Badland Hunters, being zany and comedic. With great action. So, yeah, recommend both. And certainly Badland Hunters is on Netflix. Well worth a watch.
Yeah, and then for mine, it's the same. I think they were all very sort of average movies, but they were all enjoyable in their own ways.
Yeah.
But I would probably say the ones I watched, I would recommend the Marsh King's Daughter over the others. I think that would be the one that I'm more likely to remember going forward than the other two.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah.
Yeah. So that's all the movies. Is there anything else you've watched?
Should we? Yes. I've finally finished Monarch.
Yes. So Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. You were 2 episodes off, right?
I was, yes.
Yeah, which I think were the 2 episodes when it kind of came together. I felt like for all of its meandering, it did stick the landing.
I have a confession to make that makes me a complete moron.
All right.
I didn't, until the very last episode, realize that the trio, the older trio, let's say, the 50s trio, I didn't realize that character, the sailor guy, I didn't realize that he was supposed to be John Goodman's character until the very end.
Oh my god, really? Okay.
So, I did not realize at all. Not until the very end. I was like,
when he says he died, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh fuck! I just didn't twig at all. I obviously didn't twig that their names were the fucking same.
Well, the thing is, I've watched Kong Skull Island a few times, so I knew the name, so that probably helped me.
Yeah.
As soon as they said his name, I was like, okay, it's Bill Randa, fine.
It's just sort of fucking obvious all the way through, and I just did not pick up on. Mainly because I just don't. I think my brain just went. That dude's not John Goodman.
No, they don't look anything alike. Like he's like twice the height for a start.
Let's cast father and son as this character.
And then cast giant gangly man as John Goodman.
Remotely look anything like John Goodman.
Like the height difference alone.
Yeah.
I agree. I thought the performance was great, but they look nothing alike.
Oh no, he's a really good character, and that's the thing. We just couldn't. They don't seem like the same character at all.
No, I agree.
And I was just like, oh my god, I am a fucking moron. I did not put that together until it's like, oh, he's supposed to be his dad. Oh god, that makes a lot of sense now.
So yeah, like I said, for all of this show's meanderings and wasting of time, I did think it ultimately stuck the landing.
Yeah.
I came to like most of the young cast in the end.
Nope,
did not like May. I don't think I could ever be convinced to like May. She was an absolute bitch to everyone, the entire film, the entire show.
Yeah.
And I don't know why Kate ultimately was like, oh, actually, I kind of love you and you're great.
I don't know why either of them.
No, because she treats Kentaro like crap, even when he's just trying to help her and be nice to her. Like, she's just awful the whole time. And I don't understand why anyone is meant to like her or care. But I came to like Kentaro, and I quite liked Kate as well by the end. They kind of won me over. Nowhere near as much as, like you said earlier in your earlier review of the first half.
Yeah.
The stuff in the past is like night and day better than the stuff in present day.
There are so much more interesting characters.
Way more.
They get, and I don't know whether it's a writing thing, whether like they had like two separate writing teams or something that just didn't gel, because the past stuff seems like it was written with these characters in mind, and a really a nice idea of what to do. And I think with the now characters, we're like, we don't really know what to do with these three key characters.
Yeah,
we just know that they can do stuff and they're related to this character and that character. And
well, the
like,
weird
okay,
thing
fine.
is the show is kind of named after them. Like,
Yeah.
because it's their legacy, and yet it's way more like I cared way more about the historical stuff than, and I kind of felt like by the end I was like, I wish the whole show was just the historical stuff. If I'm honest.
Me too. I wish that they'd have done that. It would have been a much more interesting series. Kate was fine.
She grew on me.
I thought Kintaro was annoying, and Major was just awful.
Well, Kintaro I started liking when he met his father, and we had those kind of bits. I was like, okay.
But they didn't do it.
No, it felt like they should have got rid of the episode when they're in Antarctica. Or not Antarctica, because that's where Ghidorah is. Wherever the fuck they end up. I would have ditched that entire episode and instead have a whole episode centered around Kintaro meeting his dad again and having that conversation, because that was way more interesting than wasting our time in the fucking snow for like.
Yeah, because they didn't do a very good job with the dad either.
No,
I'd like to have had some sort of a bit more of an explanation as to how he managed to have two fucking families.
Yeah, that's the thing is that the frustration with this show is that it introduces really interesting storylines and then doesn't flesh them out or do anything with them.
Yeah,
a man having two separate families on alternate sides of the planet that don't know each other exists. That's really interesting.
And yet he's managed to keep these two families and do all this fucking secret work.
Yeah.
Like disappearing into nowhere, all over the place and stuff. It's like, wow, he's an impressive guy, but you don't ever get the impression that he's an impressive guy.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
I thought in the later episodes, I was surprised overall. Just as a thing, a point of interest, I was surprised how much Kurt Russell was actually in this.
Absolutely, I was full on expecting, Kurt Russell's in it. He's
Episode
going to be
1. Dead.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be in it for 5 minutes, and then we'll never see him again.
But not only is he in it for a long time, I think in the second to last episode, he gives it a fantastic performance. Him and Mari Yamamoto as Keiko, Keiko, I think they call her. Their reunion was amazing.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god, you're both acting incredibly. It was such a sweet scene. It was such a heartbreaking scene. It was brilliant. And I was like, great. Where was this the rest of the show? You finally got there.
She's there sort of talking to him, and she notices the difference in his voice. I love that. She notices the difference. He's hiding behind a tree.
He's hiding because he's like meant to be 90. He's like 90 years old or something now.
Yeah.
It looks like he's in his 70s or whatever because he disappeared.
And it was a really lovely scene. It
Wonderful.
was a really well done scene. And it was like, why can't this whole show be like that? Why can't it be that well written all the time?
Yeah, because it really did. For me, it really stuck the landing. And by the end of the season, I was like, okay, I'd like to see a season 2 now.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that I will take away the most from this series, is that I will be happy to see another season. However, slight spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really going to get Kurt Russell again, are we?
I am. I guess they might make season 2. I'm going back to rescue him.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm wondering. I feel like they have strategically ended it to where Kurt Russell, if he's up for coming back, he can come back, and if not, they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like maybe they're. It kind of feels like they've given him an out, and it's like, well, if you want to come back for another show in the future, you can come back. If you want to come back in the MonsterVerse proper in the movies, you can come back. Like they've got it open.
Damn, that would be cool. I mean, I've seen a couple of interviews with him and his son and stuff.
Oh god, they're so
and
likable.
Sounds like he had a ball.
They're so lovely together.
When
you see him talking, you're like, oh my god, there's such a wholesome father and son relationship going on there.
Yeah. I've seen interviews with them, with like all of the whole sort of family over the years, like not together but in different things. Like Kate Hudson and the other sort of children, and they have got an amazing family dynamic where it's that proper American family, that like
Yeah, it's
Kurt Russell's dad
it's the
and Kurt Russell's
stereotypical
word is fucking final. But they all love him for that. They all have that, such admiration and respect for him. Even the kids that aren't his, like Kate Hudson is, then she's not, his kid, but he's her dad. They have I love that their whole, it just as if you couldn't love Kurt Russell anymore.
Yeah, totally.
It's just Kurt Russell's just fucking an awesome dude, and Wyatt Russell's
great.
Seems to be a chip off the old block.
He's fantastic in this show, and I believe they're the same person.
Yeah,
they really do sell it that way. I would say like the continuity is not great between the TV show and the movies.
No, it's a bit of a mess.
And some of it's like might be fine with some explanation. The nuke scene with Godzilla doesn't work at all. That's like they've just made that shit completely up. It doesn't even match. It's literally in the opening of like almost all of the MonsterVerse movies is that bloody nuke scene, and is completely different to what we see here. So it just doesn't work at all. But fine, whatever. It's a minor thing, and things like the bridge scene doesn't really match up. But that's like just autistic me noticing things like that. No one else is going to give a shit.
And I think the thing with the time.
I think I understand how they've done that, but they need to explain it in the next season or in the movie.
My guess is that it's because it's the corridor, not the actual Hollow Earth.
Yeah, I get the impression, and they're not in, so they're not in the Hollow Earth. They're in Axis Mundi, which is like outside, it's in between the two.
Yeah, it seems to be.
My understanding, or how I have made this make sense in my brain, is that if you're in the Hollow Earth, it's fine. Time is the same.
Yeah,
time is the same on Earth as it is in the Hollow Earth, but the travel between the two is where the time dilation happens. Mm-hmm. So being stuck between the two meant that they had that time dilation, and I'm hoping they will explain in the next movie or in the next series that's why they created the heaves in Godzilla vs. Kong, that they're able to navigate, and as long as you navigate quickly through the thing, then you're fine. It's being stuck in that middle that's the problem. Because otherwise none of it makes sense. None of it.
There's no way that Kong, like if when
so
King
like
Ghidorah
Kong would
turns up and like wreaks havoc, there is no way that Kong is going to be the other side of the world or in the Hollow Earth and get there with any amount of time.
Well, or
stop King Ghidorah doing anything, because otherwise, by the time Godzilla gets there, it'll have been like 10 years fucking later.
Yeah, exactly. And things like
King Ghidorah's killed everything.
And things like in Godzilla vs. Kong, when they go into the Hollow Earth, it's like, well, Kong coming back up would be like what, like a month, 2 months later, and Godzilla's already wiped out Mechagodzilla and had that fight, and like none of that makes any sense. So in my head canon, I'm assuming it's because Axis Mundi is in that void between the two.
It's the corridor that's the weird thing, not the actual other two planes themselves.
Yeah, but it needs explaining. It needs a bit more explanation as we go forward.
Not sure they can.
I don't know that they will bother, but I liked it as the thing is, the frustrating thing for me is I think personally I prefer the tone of this show over the new movies. I think this stuff, everything up to and including King of the Monsters, is kind of like King of the Monsters is as far as I wanted to push the sci-fi silliness.
Yeah.
And I feel like I had a blast with Godzilla vs. Kong. Looking forward to New Empire.
I love that movie.
Their show is silly now, and that's fine, but I think I prefer the tone of this stuff.
Yeah.
And
I think you want a certain amount of silly technology,
which I think we had in Godzilla vs. Kong. In King of the Monsters, we had that. Yeah, that was enough.
A certain amount of sci-fi tech is fine.
Yeah,
but then when you get to Godzilla vs. Kong and you've got full-on like spaceships and
the tunnel, the rail system that goes from one end of the planet to the other and stuff. You're like, when did you do this? And that's one thing this show does do quite well, is it does show that these companies have been around for a long time and they've been working on stuff a long time. So in that respect, the show does complement the movies, because there is a jarring difference in technology between King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, it's like, what the hell happened? And at least this show does something towards that. It's also weird how Monarch seem to be penniless one year, and then the next year they've got this underwater facility where they monitor everything, and they've got sites everywhere.
Also, how dumb and is the fucking what's her name? Verdugo, is it?
The Apex woman.
No, not her.
The monarch woman.
The monarch woman.
That was the other thing as well. It's really awkward.
The dime store Dr. Cuddy.
Yeah, it's really awkward not having Ken Watanabe.
Yes,
it's like, where is he though? This makes no sense.
But she's so dumb.
Yeah, she is.
She's like, oh no, we don't care about the kids. It's like the guy's going, but this is their legacy. We can bring them in. They can be useful. Yeah. No.
Nah.
Shit, we'll just throw them away. It's like, seriously? This is just... Fuck you, lady. I mean, obviously, you know where it's going.
Yeah.
And it does that. It's like, yeah, sure, okay. But you could have probably made her less dumb.
Yeah.
Could have come up with some other excuse that, no, we're not going to do it. Not interested. You know, they could have done something stupid, which meant Monarch refused to bring them in. You know?
May could have done something really dumb.
A proper excuse, as opposed to...
I'll tell you what, there's already an excuse, actually. They could have exposed the fact that May used to work for Apex.
Yes.
Or the company that became Apex. And then they could have been like, well, actually, we're rivals, get the fuck out. We're having, like, we know they're up to no good, go away.
Yeah.
That could work.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that because they came out of nowhere in Godzilla vs. Kong as well, and it's nice. It's nice that this show kind of sets them up as just rival organizations.
I like the fact that they
started off called something else.
As soon as the company turned up in the series, it's like, oh, well, they're going to be Apex.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that they were this company that becomes Apex. I thought that was kind of cool, actually, and like you said, good that they started, setting these things up.
Well, because there were things that didn't make sense in Godzilla vs. Kong that now do. Like, how did they have skull crawlers, which, to our knowledge, were only on Skull Island? Well, now we know that Apex also had a facility on Skull Island. We didn't know that until the end of this season of the show. Now it's like, oh, okay, so they were on the island as well, therefore they've got access to skull crawlers too. Therefore, that makes sense in Godzilla vs. Kong. So there are some nice... For all the continuity that it screws up, it does also help in some aspects. But the difference between...
I would like to know how big fucking Skull Island is, though.
It's as big as they want. I mean, we're fully into like Showa era. It's whatever they want it to be. Each movie
really are.
Scenarios right now.
I mean, of course, like Skull Island has to be big to accommodate all the big creatures.
Yeah,
so it has to be a certain amount of size, right?
Yeah.
But then you've got these massive facilities that are there, and they don't know about each other?
I guess they know.
Okay.
I'm assuming they know about each other.
Do they?
Well, no one has a right to own it, so I guess they can both...
I suppose so.
My assumption is they both know they're there and they just kind of hate each other. On opposite sides of the
I like some of the supporting cast. Is it Tim? He was kind of cool.
He was great. Again, Tim I'd like to see in the movies.
I warmed up to him eventually because he starts off as a real...
Yeah. He starts off as a dick.
The character, he reminded me of the bloody vlogger guy in...
Oh god, he's in fucking New
who's
Empire.
Awful.
Oh.
And I
was like, of all the people you could have
another
kept,
fucking character like that.
Like,
but actually, he makes interesting decisions, and he's actually not the idiot that he's actually kind of cool character.
Yeah.
And I really like the is it Derville, the bodyguard character?
Yeah.
I'd like to have seen a bit more with her because she was kind of cool.
Yeah, there were some characters I liked. Some like of the supporting cast. I really liked the guy who gets offed in the snow. Kurt Russell's old friend.
Oh,
who
yes.
we see flashbacks to and stuff as well. He's cool. So yeah, the supporting cast was fine. It was fine overall. When I got to the end, I was satisfied. I must admit, if it wasn't related to Godzilla, I probably would have quit within 3 or 4 episodes, to be honest.
Yes.
I mean, the history stuff made me keep... I wanted to keep watching for the historical stuff, and I think I probably would have stuck around a little bit for that, but yeah.
Let's be fair, it had 2 things that kept us going.
Kurt Russell.
And that is One, it's because it's related to Godzilla, and two, Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Without those, and Wyatt. We'll extend it to Wyatt Russell as well, because his character, because he was really good in that character as well. So those things kept us going.
Yeah.
And I without those things, this movie, I would have think probably 3 episodes
and done. Now that I finished it, though, I am hoping there's another season. Looking forward to it if they do it. It stuck the landing ultimately, so there is that.
I would have liked to have seen more monsters.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't necessarily mean Godzilla, just other creatures.
No, it doesn't have to be Godzilla, but it was fucking nice when he did turn up again.
Oh, that was great. I thought that fight scene was perfect. It was the right length. It was cool, and it was nice that he had the original design, not the King of the Monsters design. It was time period accurate. Even the atomic breath was more breathy than lasery.
Even one of the things that even my wife said was, I like how Godzilla, he's fighting that bat creature.
Yeah.
Godzilla, he powers up
and then realizes there's no point.
Doesn't bother.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need full breath here.
Yeah, he's like, actually, it's just a stupid bat thing. I'll just rip his wings off.
She was like, he totally powered down. He realized he didn't need to full power to wreck this thing. He just let out a little breath. It was like, that was so cool.
I did feel a bit sorry for the bat thing by the end, because I'm like, I don't know where the hell he came out in the ultimately, but he's turning up with no wing, a wing missing, and just really knackered and messed up.
Sorry. It's like it was a cool. I liked it as well as just a giant bat, but it was
a cool design. Yeah,
and I did feel very sorry for it. It's like, oh no, Godzilla's turned up. You're so toast.
Yeah. Overall, it was fine.
It was.
Hopefully, they can build on this now. Make a great second season.
You seriously can't recommend this series to anybody.
No.
Who's not a Godzilla fan?
No.
I don't think.
Not unless, I mean, if season 2 really picks up, then it might be worth sitting through. But yeah.
I guess you also have to add the caveat that it's American Godzilla, not.
Yeah, I mean, God, yeah. I mean, that's.
And I know that there are a lot of people that hate the American Godzilla stuff.
I don't hate it. It's very different. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I really enjoy them. Yeah. I think they've done a pretty good job, actually.
Well, they've certainly done better than 98. So. No, I don't hate the American Godzilla. I'm not keen on the way it's going now, if I'm honest. King of the Monsters, I was totally sold. I was like, this is fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. It's still
like my favorite out of those
it's
ones. Like
Showa, but not too silly. Godzilla vs. Kong is way more silly, and New Empire looks ludicrously silly.
Yeah, which looks like it's gonna be.
And again, it's fine. I mean, the thing is, being a Godzilla fan, I've watched all of the Godzilla movies, and they range from super serious to the silliest shit you've ever seen. Yeah. So it's fine.
It was all a dream, a kid's dream.
Yeah, it was all a kid's dream. I mean, dumber shit happens when it's not a dream. When it's that's canon. That happened.
I mean, come on, let's never forget that Godzilla can fly.
Yeah,
by folding his legs breath up, using his breath as a jet.
And the drop kicks, teaming up with Jet Jaguar.
I love the drop kick.
Oh, it's
so
great.
Funny.
It's the fact that he does it twice as well.
Yeah.
It's not enough to have done it once. He winds up and does it again just to make sure.
Oh, God.
But so it doesn't. There is Godzilla for all tones, right? And so it's fine when these films do that. I'm kind of used to that. And for me, I as a Godzilla fan, I don't care. Because the American one is even if the American one sucks, they're still making the Japanese movies.
Yes.
So I've got the best of both right now.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd have this much Godzilla content going on. So I'm happy.
Still waiting for
it's going to be a while,
this one to come out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a while.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Well, they're doing minus color at the moment, aren't they? So that's going to add a couple of a little bit longer, which looks fantastic. I wish we were getting that here. They've done a real proper job with that. They've not just made it black and white. They've redone the whole movie.
Yeah.
It looks like it's from the 50s in terms of the contrast and everything. They've really worked with that movie to make it work in black and white. I'm hoping we'll get a double release with both options.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be nice. But I think it's probably going to be late 2024, I'm guessing. by the time it arrives, or maybe like summer 2024.
Yeah.
Because usually it'll come out in Japan and then it'll be a good 6 months before we get it over here. But because it was such a big hit over here, they might be a bit more keen to get it. You know, unlike Shin Godzilla or Shin Ultraman.
As well, they reissued it again.
Yeah, they did. They did minus color in the States as well.
Yeah,
we didn't get it, but they did. But yeah, we're getting the best of both at the moment, so it's fine. And because clearly the direction that Japan's going is way more serious. It's fine. We've got the silly stuff over here. It's fine. America can do the silly stuff, and I can enjoy that for silly stuff, and then we've got the serious stuff over there. Great. But yeah. So anyway, that's us up to date. We lost Carl Weathers.
We did.
Massive loss. For me, you know, Apollo Creed.
Did you see Stallone's?
Oh God, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Oh God.
His tribute was wonderful.
I know, but it was really upsetting as well, because you could see that guy was really cut up about it. It was, you know, it wasn't like a bullshit Instagram post. You know,
no.
He was cut up. It was hard to watch, but yes, it was a lovely tribute. Yeah, I mean, Carl Weathers, such a big part of my childhood, you know. Apollo Creed, one of my favorite characters, certainly in Rocky. And then obviously Dylan, Predator.
You don't get fucking, you know, the greatness that is the Rocky movies without him.
No, God no. He arguably makes the first movie.
Yes.
You know, I mean, alongside Stallone, the two of them together, without Creed, yeah, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, he's fantastic in those movies. And obviously is Dylan as well in Predator.
Yep.
He's just, you know, such a memorable character from my childhood, you know?
Do you know what probably you probably won't like this, but do you know what my favourite character of his is?
Go on.
It's Chubbs from Happy Gilmore.
No, he's great. Yeah, no, he's great.
He's so good in that movie.
Yeah, he's great.
I know, but people have a problem with Adam Sandler movies. I love most Adam Sandler movies.
I'm not the biggest fan, but he's great in that role.
But Happy Gilmore is it's brilliant, and he's awesome in it. He appears in Little Nicky as well as the same character, which is brilliant. But yeah, Carl Weathers was wonderful. And, you know, like people have said, you know, he was introduced to a whole bunch of, you know, new audiences with The Mandalorian and stuff. I mean, he was one of the better things
I keep forgetting he was in that, but yes.
Yeah, Grief Karga. You know, he was... Unfortunately, they screwed themselves with the Gina Carano thing, and they didn't... Because we were going to get that show for her.
I thought, they were planning on doing a whole show around her, right?
And I think Carl Weathers would have probably had a bigger part in that series.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched... Well, I've only watched half of season 1 of that, so I don't actually know.
I still recommend the first season. I think the first season's actually good.
I hear that.
Second season, and then I haven't even bothered with the third.
I think even fans of The Mandalorian don't like the third season, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it just sounds awful.
But yeah,
great.
Huge loss. Fantastic actor.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Just a few little brief ones.
Mm-hmm.
Only because it appeals to me because I love Ben Wheatley. Ben Wheatley is going to be working on a new movie called Normal with Ben Odenkirk.
Oh,
sorry, Bob Odenkirk, not Ben.
Yeah.
Bob. He's going to be playing a sheriff in a sort of small town called Normal.
I'm relieved he seems to have recovered from his heart attack pretty well now.
Yes, right? Yeah, it seems like it, thankfully. Yeah, so it's going to be some sort of like robbery and town conspiracy sort of thing. So that sounds really good. And I mean, Ben Wheatley's made some very odd choices recently.
Yeah.
I'm still not quite sure why he has. I guess just to sort of branch out.
Yeah, I mean, why not? He's reached that point in his career where he's like,
so I still, will watch pretty much anything he does. So, and it's I think from what I gather, it's same stunt team as John Wick and
Yeah.
what was it called? Nobody.
Which my dad said the other day. He was like, "Oh, that came on TV the other day, and I rewatched it, and I'd forgotten how good it was, and it made me think. Actually, I might rewatch Nobody soon. I remember thoroughly enjoying it when I saw it.
Yeah, I caught it a while ago again, and it's like, yeah, no, this is a fucking brilliant movie. I love everything about it. It's so over the top and
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
really good.
And Christopher Lloyd in that movie is so great as well.
So
and, yeah, really fun movie.
Yeah, and cast list for the Rogue Trooper movie
is amazing.
Yeah,
solid cast.
So they finally said it's going to be a animated.
This is Unreal movie. 5,
apparently. And they dropped a picture of fucking Rogue stood in front of.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Fucking huge tank. And it's like, that is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got the cast list. We've got Anewin Bernardin, Haley Atwell. We've got Reece Shearsmith, Jermaine Clement, Matt Berry, Diane Morgan, Alice Lowe, Asa Butterfield, Sean Bean. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
That is a fucking cast. And I'm kind of hoping that
it's really popular.
Matt Berry is probably gonna be Helm.
Yeah, that would work.
Or maybe I think Bagman was the sort of serious one, wasn't it? Or was it Helm that was the serious one?
I can't honestly.
I never remember which one was the serious one. It's because it's been such a long time since I read.
Same.
The original Rogue Trooper, but I fucking love Rogue Trooper.
Me too.
I'm presuming Haley Atwell's going to be Blue Jean.
I would imagine,
because they haven't said who they're playing, but I'm so on board with this.
Me too.
It's for fuck's sake, Duncan Jones directing, which
yeah.
Say what you will about his last couple of things, he's still a fucking great director, and I've got a lot of time for.
And it's being animated in Unreal 5.
Yes.
Which could look like photoreal,
while
still having all of that over-the-top science fiction element that you get from Rogue Trooper.
Yeah.
This could be something really special. And my hope is, like, if this is successful, like when Dread was released, and we're like, oh my god, if this is successful. I'm like, come on, like, we could have Strontium Dog, we could have Slain, we could have, do animated projects like this. Like, if you're not gonna commit, if Rebellion aren't gonna commit to making more Dread movies or more live action stuff, do this, because this could be brilliant. Because it can not only be great, but it can be 100% comic book accurate in terms of the visuals as well. Like,
Rebellion seem to have been their own worst enemy so many times.
They have been, unfortunately.
They seem to be the main thing about getting in their own fucking way.
They really do. It's like, dude, you could have gone on to great things after Dread. You really could have.
Yeah.
Because I quite liked Solomon Kane as well. I thought that was quite a reasonable movie.
No one went to see that movie.
I did. Me and my dad saw it in the cinema.
Yeah, I went to see it in the cinema as well.
I was like, it's fucking Solomon Kane. I'm there.
Perfoy is bloody Solomon Kane. Yes, fucking please.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's not a brilliant movie, but it's a really fucking enjoyable one.
It was a good start. It's a good start.
It did do the cardinal sin of feeling like a setup movie.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Which is always fucking annoying. It's like, no, you don't have a movie that sets shit up because
now it's gone nowhere.
We're never gonna get the bloody movie that it's setting up to.
Yeah,
which is really annoying. But I really liked it. He was great as Kane, and it was a really cool movie.
Yeah, it was fun. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping Rogue Trooper's great. If we get a great Rogue Trooper movie, never thought that would happen in my life. I will be very happy. And 2, I'm really hoping that this paves the way for more Rebellion projects. That would be fantastic, because there is so much. I mean, I was a 2000 AD kid, and I want it all. I want it all. Yeah. If it's done well,
I'd love to see. I mean, I don't know how well it would work in context, but I would love to see an animated Dead Man story.
Yeah, or like ABC Warriors. That'd be cool.
Oh, ABC Warriors are great.
You know, there's so much. There's so much they could do.
I mean, technically, we've already seen one of the ABC
Well,
works.
yeah, we have. But and to be fair, for all of the criticism of Judge Dredd, it looked amazing. The visuals are spot on.
There's so much that fucking movie gets right.
I know, it's so frustrating when you watch it because you're like, this movie is crap, but visually,
it's the Mega City one
never looks better. If you could have Dredd, the movie, the story, and the tone with the visuals of Judge Dredd, oh my god, perfect. I mean,
I even like the actual the uniform and everything. It's not a bad uniform.
I'm not so keen on the helmet. That's the only thing.
I think the thing is that back then.
Yeah, I know. It was
used to movies doing their own thing with it, and what they did was
it's not terrible.
It was their own thing, but it wasn't so far removed.
No, it was close enough.
That it didn't look like you knew what it was.
I've always been a bigger fan of the helmet having the smaller eyes, you know, rather than the visor bit.
I like the Iscari's version of Dredd.
Yeah.
So I like the visor, but yeah.
I don't mind. I don't hate it.
I've never liked the what's his name? Fucking hell. His name's slipping my mind now. But whenever he drew the helmet, he'd like draw it really wide and flared like a samurai. Kabuto. I always fucking hated that when artists drew the helmet that looked like that, like a fucking lampshade.
Yeah.
It really fucking annoyed the crap out of me when they used to draw him like that. But that's just one of those little pet peeves.
But it's a ripe universe if they do it well, and if
so much you could do with it,
if they can do it in Unreal 5 with a reasonable budget.
I mean, we were supposed to be getting that Tales of Mega City series that doesn't seem.
But this would be the perfect way to do it.
Yep.
Do it animated.
Yeah.
You could probably get Carl Urban to do the voice if you.
I'm sure Carl Urban would love to come back. He said so many times.
I don't think they'll put the budget up for another movie.
You know, do it in a heartbeat.
But if this does well enough, maybe they would. Maybe they'd consider it.
The good thing about using his voice is he doesn't have to fucking go anywhere.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Record it in his house if he wants to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I was really happy with that. You know, little piece of news.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, apart from that, I don't think there's anything else.
What are we doing next week?
So I thought, with the passing of Carl Weathers, and with it being probably your favourite movie, and I don't think one of your favourite movies, and I don't think we've done it, shall we do Rocky?
So we've already done Godzilla. I don't remember Carl Weathers being in Godzilla. Yeah, we could do Rocky. Rocky 1, we've never done any of the Rocky movies, right?
We have not, so should
Great.
we do Rocky?
Perfect. Let's do it. I love Rocky. Yeah. It's a great idea. I'm surprised we haven't done Rocky before. It's one of those, like, I would have had to have checked if we hadn't.
I think most of the time we've sort of avoided some of our big favourites.
Yeah, well, you don't want to, blow your load too soon, right?
Yeah,
just spread them out a bit.
I still, I'm almost permanently putting off Blade Runner.
Yeah, that's going to be a long one. I
think it's probably one that we maybe never will do, because what can you say that?
Yeah.
Hasn't been said before. But you can say that about all the movies we do, but
one day we might get to it. You never know.
Maybe
we'll get to it one day, I'm sure. But
I think sometimes you're so close to it that it's not a good idea. You know what I mean?
That's true. No, I get you. Yeah, I agree. We'll see. But Rocky, 100% sounds great for next time. Yes, so we will be back next week with a deep dive into Rocky. But until then, stay safe, take care, and we will catch you next time.